to episode 40 of Knitting Needles and Stems. I'm Carrie, I'm the host, and today is Sunday, August 9th, 2026. Today's segments will include works in progress, finished objects, knit-alongs, more out than in, my patterns, and gardening. Welcome to all the new viewers, and thank you very much for all the returning viewers. You can find me as Knitting Needles and Stems on Ravelry, Facebook, and Patreon. My Ravelry username is Kabammer. So what's new? I've been doing some cooking with my sourdough. Last week, I usually keep my starter in the refrigerator, get it out once a week, and make something on the weekends because it is slow cooking. Last week I made sourdough cinnamon rolls and they were so delicious. Yum. I timed them so that they could be ready for us to eat mid-morning, early afternoon on Sunday, and they were just really good. And I put some ground up pecans in there too that I had left over from when I made the pecan cookies. I had been keeping it in the refrigerator and they were just delicious. And last weekend I also made just a plain loaf of sourdough bread, which we ate up pretty quick. This weekend, yesterday, I actually made a pineapple honey sourdough bread loaf. My friend's birthday is tomorrow. She invited me to her birthday dinner tonight at her parents' house. So I'm going to take her a loaf of pineapple honey sourdough bread. Pineapple is one of her favorite things in the world, and that's going to be my gift to her. Love it. We also went to the Maplewood Mall yesterday in Maplewood, Minnesota to meet up with one of my oldest friends and pick up the bike that Lexi had left at his house when Lexi used to live there. So we borrowed a bike rack from my friend here in town and picked up the bike, hung out in the mall. Reagan and I went to the sustainable safari that they have there. You can go in and you can interact with the animals and feed some of them, not all of them. But they have kangaroos, they have wallabies, they have a sloth that was sleeping, they have goats, they have armadillos, hairy armadillos. They have these little hairs sticking out. They were so cute. And they have frogs and lizards and capybaras and chickens running around and guinea pigs, bunnies, birds. They have a toucan there who actually, when they got the toucan, he had a crack in his beak and the crack ended up breaking off the end part of the top part of his beak. So his bottom part of his beak stuck out about an inch or two long, longer than the top part. And it said that he was working with a vet to get his beak to grow back. So that's pretty awesome. They really work with these animals to help keep them healthy. So I was happy to be able to support them. And that is in the Maplewood Mall in Maplewood, Minnesota. Okay, let's move into works in progress. The first thing that I worked on was my Corner to Corner blanket by Sammy Bristow. This is the one that I'm using just a lot of random leftovers in, all different weights of yarn. And I did have a marker showing where it was last time. Here's where it was last time I showed it to you. I got about 1.5 inches more. Finished up that gray. Used up this blue here, and then I switched to this green and white. So it's getting there. The rows are getting shorter. Every time I work on it, the rows get shorter, but it is still pretty long rows, so they take quite a bit of time to get them done. But it's going to be a nice, colorful blanket when it's all done. Someone told me once that once you put so many colors together, they all go together. So I really believe that after seeing this blanket. So this is the Corner to Corner blanket by Sammy Bristow. The next thing that I worked on is the Coziest Memory by Kemper Ray. This is the blanket that I'm using all the leftovers, the most recent fingering weight leftovers first, and then I'm adding random other leftovers as I finish them. Last time we recorded, I had finished, it's all twisted up on itself. I had finished the second row, full row. And now I've added my black border in between and these two new ones here. This one's from a project I'm going to tell you about in a minute. And this one is a random one that I got from the retreat in June. So this is really fun. I'm doing 1 square a week. So it's going to take me a really long time to get this done. You're going to be hearing about it a lot. So that's all I'm going to say about it, because you will be hearing about it a lot. And if this is your first episode, you can go look up the pattern and you'll hear more about it the next time I record. This is Coziest Memory by Kemper Ray. Next, I worked on the Sea of Flames Poncho by Nancy McElmurray. For this one, I'm using 100 Ravens, Yaksha, and Starry Night, and Apollo. And I know I haven't been telling you the Apollo colorway because I haven't been using the Apollo colorway yet, but I did actually run out of the Starry Night and had to join the Apollo. I am fully done with the beads, which I got from Fire Mountain Gems. And I used all the gold seed beads from Fire Mountain Gems. Let's see if I can get it to focus on that. It's a little blurry. And they were this nice, they're silver lined gold beads. I'm not going to be able to get it to focus. But they're silver lined gold beads from Fire Mountain Gems. 25 grams. I used 2. I had another one of these. I used a full one and about half of this one for this poncho. I am on the border. I've finished all of the charts and I'm now on the border. You can see the full gradient of the Starry Night. And then you can see that I added my Apollo at the end. So the whole border is going to be the Apollo color, which is the color, I mean, it was pretty darn close to the last color on that in the gradient. So I'm really happy that this one is almost done because the weather will be cooling off eventually. I know the whole United States seems to be in somewhat of the oven right now with warmer than normal temperatures, but it will cool off again, especially where I live. So again, this is Sea of Flames Poncho by Nancy McElmurray, using 100 Ravens, Yaksha, and Starry Night, and Apollo. And the beads are from Fire Mountain Gems. Okay, let's put this one back in the bag. I usually don't use super fancy bags. I just use generic bags. I think I got this one from with a knit crate that I got a long time ago. It says it's noknits.com, made in the USA. The bag that I keep my blanket in, I don't think is even meant to be a project bag. So, anywho. The next thing I worked on was one of my baby hats. I was talking about the yarn that I got from the retreat for my blanket. When I pulled this one out, it just seemed like a thicker weight than fingering to me. So instead of using it in my blanket, I'm going to use it for a baby hat. So I started this baby hat. I did 10 rows. I cast on 80 stitches like I always do. I did 10 rows of 1 by 1 ribbing, and then I'm doing a broken rib for the body of the hat. It'll be a squared off hat like I always make. So I'll make them to 5 inches, I think. And then I just Kitchener the top or graft the top together. I really like this yarn though. Look at that. Look at the swirl going around. It's so fun. And I just decided to use the broken rib pattern as a way to change some things up. So this is just a baby hat that I will donate to a preemie drive that Knitting Daddy from the Unraveling podcast He collects hats every year to take to his local hospital. All right, next we have the Fish Lips Kiss Heel socks. The Fish Lips Kiss Heel is by Socks Therapist. And for these, I'm using Bumblebee Acres Coquette sock. You know what? I have it marked as a Fish Lips Kiss Heel sock, but I think I'm definitely gonna have to change it because I have to. This is my movie theater sock, okay? So here's the Bumblebee Acres Coquette. Let's see. Coquette and Autumn Walk. This is the Autumn Walk, and then the brown was unnamed. It was just a mini that was with the Autumn Walk colorway here. So, like I said, it's my movie theater sock. At the theater, I made it past the point where I should have added the heel. So right now, it is a completely heelless sock. So I'm going to have to change my notes so that it shows that it is going to be an Afterthought heel instead of the Fish Lips Kiss heel. And I can see in my camera this fun little slithering snake going up the socks. I don't see that when I look at it with my naked eye, so that's really pretty cool. I love Bumblebee Acres colors. They're always so fun. And I walked around at the mall yesterday working on it, and these stitch markers, which I know a lot of people do this. I don't usually, but then I get tired of having to count. I just knitted to 160 because I think it's about 80 rounds for the size that I need for my foot. And then I like to have my leg as long as my foot. So I knit to 160 rounds, and then I started on the cuff. I'm doing a 2x2 rib with a cable twist every 4 rows. Like a simple, 2-stitch cable twist every 4 rows. So then I will get out my sock ruler and measure where I need to put my heel. And I will put my needles in, snip the yarn, unravel the stitches in between, and add my heel in the brown. I might wait until I get a second sock done to do that though. So this is going to be an Afterthought heel sock in Bumblebee Acres Coquette sock in Autumn Walk and a brown mini. The next thing that I worked on is Poinsettia Fingerless Gloves by Sybil R. For these, I'm using Fiber Optics Yarn Cashmere in the Morticia colorway and Mustache Yarn and Fiber Perfect Must Match sock in Equinox. So this first one is almost done. I just have to Kitchener or graft it together. But this is a fun fingerless mitt that uses all short rows to make a poinsettia. So here is what I have for the first one. So fun. It's all short rows all the way around. Your thumb comes out right here. So this is how the mitts will sit. And of course it's garter stitch, so it's super stretchy. It should fit me. It looks like it's going to be super, super skinny right now, but it should stretch to come around my hand. And if not, I know some people who have smaller hands than I do. So the second one will be completely different because the mustache yarns, this is a rainbow gradient that I had, and I made it to the purple, so then it's going to go through all the other colors of the rainbow on the other one. So again, this is Poinsettia Fingerless Gloves by Sybil R. using Fiber Optics Yarn Cashmere in Morticia and Mustache Yarn and Fibers Perfect Must Match sock in Equinox. Next, I worked on Top Down Seamless Bear by Sharon Wilkes. This is for the Bears for Kids group that I am in. I make a bear every month. So this is the head of the bear. Our theme this month is fruit bears. So I have this green. This is actually the prize that I won for one of my bears a couple months ago. And the color is lime jelly. So that's my fruit, my lime. So he's going to be wearing a lime jelly sweater and black pants. So it's not much to see right now. This that I'm using for the fur is a sparkly sweater that I took apart like a long time ago. And it's a cotton, so it's a little hard to work with sometimes, but I think it makes really fun bear fur. So again, that is the Top Down Seamless Bear by Sharon Wilkes. The next thing that is a new cast on is the Strawberry Field Socks by Jackie Harding. For these, I'm using 4 Crows fiber, black and white, and dyed all over in the Gone Fishing colorway. This is so pretty. I got it at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool last year. And I'm using Leading Men Fiber Art Showstopper and Cherry Pie. And I'm using Kobasi by Haiku in white that I have left over. So the white will just be a little bit around the top to accent the strawberries when you see the strawberries up there in the color work. And there's a green stripe that has like a white flowery kind of pattern in going through it. So there's 2 stripes of strawberries with white as the background, and then the green background with the white flowers. So far, I've got 2 toes. You know, I like to make my socks in tandem. 2 toes, and I started on, I just made my computer move. I started on the foot of one of the socks. So let me show you here. The 2 toes, and I started on the foot of the sock. So I really like how it's working up. I was kind of afraid that the white wouldn't show up when I did the color work, but I think it's going to be just fine. So again, this is the Strawberry Fields by Strawberry Field Socks by Jackie Harding, and I'm using 4 Crows fibers, black and white, and dyed all over in Gone Fishing. Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper and Cherry Pie, and Haiku Kobasi in white. All right. I also worked on my counted cross stitch. This counted cross stitch is Day's End by Judy Gibson. I work on it every Tuesday. And I'm working my way across the next 10 stitches going up here. And as I'm working on a color, I just go ahead and fill in what I can. So I've got parts of the tree done here. I'm almost done filling in all of the 10 rows across to here, and then I'll move my hoop over and work my way over. So it's slowly but surely getting there. This one's going to be years too, just like that blanket's going to be years. So again, this is Counted Cross Stitch, Day's End by Judy Gibson. And I have been spinning every day. Let me grab what I'm spinning. This is a braid that I got at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool last year. It's from, let me find the label. I shove everything in this basket and I keep the basket on my wheel, so. Okay, it is from Honey Gold Acres. And the color is called Heidelberg. And it's 70% merino and 30% silver stellina. Look at that sparkle. Oh my gosh. You can't usually see sparkle on a camera, but just look at that. It is so sparkly. This is the second half. What I did is I took the braid and I split it down the middle, lengthwise. And I've got almost all of the first half spun up on my wheel right now. This is all that I have left to spin onto the wheel now. It's showing up just a little bit brighter on the camera than it is in real life, but it's really pretty. It's really sparkly. The sparkles get all over everything. It's kind of like one of my friends on Ravelry said, it's like tinsel at Christmas time where you find it everywhere. It's exactly how it is. My husband, we were riding in the car and he pulled a piece from behind my ear. So I don't know how I got there, but it literally gets everywhere. So I think for this one, I'm going to 3-ply, chain ply it to keep the stripes because it's pretty stripy. So I think I'm going to chain ply it to keep the stripes, but I have no idea what I will knit with this super sparkly yarn when it's done, but it is just making me so happy right now. So again, that is Honey Gold Acres. Honey, I'm typing it in my notes as I talk about it. Honey Gold Acres, 70% merino and 30% stellina, silver stellina, in the colorway Heidelberg. Okay, now let's go to finished objects. The first thing that I finished is my Ultimate Lounging Shorts by the Cumbrian Knitter. For these, I used Haiku Kobasi DK and Indigo, and they are completely done. I got the I-cord made, I got the ends woven in, and I've worn them to bed. They are so comfy and cozy. The one thing, if I make shorts again, which I'm not sure if I will, if I make these shorts again, I'm going to change these decreases here to something different because that does leave 2 little humps there in the front. But the back shaping worked out really well. So the back is longer than the front because your back end usually sticks out a little more than your front end does. So that's good. But I really like the cotton bamboo silk for these. And I have to have the tie or elastic. Elastic would work too because they do lose their shape. So I could just throw them in the dryer. They'll slurp back up. We had a long discussion about cotton sweaters in our Zoom meeting yesterday and how they stretch. Well, shorts do the same thing. So again, this is Ultimate Lounging Shorts by the Cumbrian Knitter. And I used Haiku Kobasi DK and Indigo. And you do make these based on your own measurements. And it's a recipe. Not my favorite pattern because it's a recipe. I don't do many recipe patterns. Usually I do, I'm a pattern kind of girl. Like I want you to tell me exactly what I'm supposed to do unless it's a pair of socks, and then I change that up all the time. Okay, the next thing that I finished is my Gentle Drizzle socks by Emily Kentai from the Operation Sock Drawer book by the Knitmore Girls. For these, I use Greenwood Fiberworks Simply Sock in Aqua. This is the square, the socks that I put a square on my blanket. I did change these up to use the Fish Lips Kiss Heel instead of the pattern, and I made them toe up instead of cuff down. And I've already worn them, so they're a little dingy, but I'm not going to apologize for that because I don't wash my socks every time I wear them, because with wool socks, you don't have to wash them every time you wear them. I wash them about once a month. They usually only get worn once or twice in that time. So that is Gentle Drizzle by Emily Kintyne from the Operation Sock Drawer book by the Knitmore Girls, using Greenwood Fiberworks Simply Sock in the Aqua colorway. All right, the next thing that I finished is the Crystal Dreams Snowflake by Dreamcatcher. This is the one I was working on last time that I didn't make it all the way through. I always use Aunt Lydia's metallic sparkly crochet thread for my snowflakes, and I think this one is super cute. Not much more to say about it. I'm wishing for snow in these dog days of summer, but I'm not ready for summer to be over yet either. So this is the Crystal Dream Snowflake by Dreamcatcher. Then I finished a pair of Fish Lips Kiss heel socks using my Knit Picks sock die blank that I dyed myself. I'll put the picture right here of what the die blank looked like after I dyed it. And it is Knit Picks Stroll Fingering is the yarn that is in the die blanks. And here is the sock. I haven't sewn in the ends yet, but socks. I think I inadvertently made one shorter than the other, but they'll be fine when I'm wearing them. And I'm not sure, I know I said that I'm going to use my leftover fingering weight in my Coziest Memory blanket after I'm done with it, but I think I'm going to try to make another pair of socks out of these because I do have a whole flower's worth of color still left. So if I use contrast heels and toes and cuffs, I may be able to get a short sock out of what's left of this yarn. So I think that's what I'll do, and then if I have any left, I'll put it in my blanket. So again, this is the Fish Lips Kiss Heel by Socks Therapist, and the yarn was a Knit Picks sock die blank, which is Knit Picks Stroll Fingering. Okay, the next thing that I finished is a baby hat, just like the ones that I was talking about earlier. I cast on 80 stitches. I do 10 rows of 1 by 1 rib, and then I just knit and graft across the top with leftovers. This one is made of all leftovers. It has a fun little stripy sequence there, and it's ready to be donated. And the last thing that I finished is some yarn, which I showed some to you last episode, but I finished spinning all of my Dakota carding and wool Cormo BFL Firestar blend in the Carnival colorway. And this got me 427 yards, 104 grams of 11 reps per inch. So that's about a DK weight. By the weight, I would say that it would be more of a fingering, but by the reps per inch, it's like a DK. So maybe somewhere between fingering and DK. But there's 427 yards, 104 grams, and it's a really, really pretty. It has all these different colors in it, mostly white, pastel. These are not colors that I would normally use. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use them or if I'm going to save them for someone special, for me to make something for someone special or to gift to someone special. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But I'm really glad that I got this done. Okay, let's move on to knit-alongs. The first knit-along that I participate in is in the Project a Month CAL group. And for the month of August, we are doing the Strawberry Fields socks by Jackie Harding. I showed you my start for mine. We're really, we post the one sock, but we want to see all your socks. So if you're working on socks and you want to come over and show us in the group, come on over with your socks that you're making in August, and we'll all appreciate them together. The next knit-along that I'm participating in is the Colors of Fall knit-along, and that is in the Yarniacs podcast group, and it runs from June 21st to September 22nd, 2026, And they just ask that you start and finish your projects within those dates, and that you use a color that is on the Colors of Fall palette, which is in the link, not the link. It's in the group, the Ravelry group under the Colors of Fall thread. The link to their podcast Ravelry group is down in the show notes. And as long as it looks like that color, resembles that color, even if you have to squint to see it, it works. So for that one, I'm working on, let's see, I finished the Gentle Drizzle socks. That was for that cow. And now I'm working on the poinsettia mitts for that cow. So that's fun. The splash pad party for Downseller Studio podcast is over. It ended on July 31st. So if you participated and used any of my patterns, thank you very much for using my patterns. But that one is over with. Let's see. The Crazy Sock Lady podcast group is having her Summer Sock Camp 2026. This one runs from May 25th to August 31st, 2026. And all socks qualify. You can knit or crochet socks. You can make them for anybody in your family, any size. And it's amazing to go over there and see all of the socks that people are finishing. So go over to her Ravelry group and check out the Summer Sock Camp 2026 thread. Then in the Knitting in the Loft group, we are doing our Summer Challenge 2026, which is short rows, structural and decorative. For this one, it's any short rows. So the pairs of socks that I'm doing that have the short row heels, if I had started the ones that I finished, if I had started them within that timeline, they would qualify for that knit along. Actually, since it started on June 19th, my Gentle Drizzle socks would qualify. So I should share those over there because I used the Fish Lips Kiss Heel on those. But I'm making the poinsettia mitts for that as well because that is all short rows all the time. I mean, it's a really fun pattern. So if you're working on it and you get discouraged, you can reach out to me because it's a learning curve to change the colors in the right way when you're working kind of in tarja at the same time as short rows. So it's a lot. But anyway, I'm Knitting in the Loft group Summer Challenge. We have fun games that I put together, and my youngest daughter usually does the prize drawings for those, and that's always fun. So June 19th to September 1st, 2026. And the last knit along that I'm participating in is in the Craft, Cook, Read, Repeat podcast group, and it is their bingo. And bingo runs from May 25th to September 7th, 2026. And any line gets you a bingo. You can get a bingo by just cooking, by just reading, or by just crafting. And if you get a coverall and cover all of the squares on the bingo sheet, you get a second entry. I got all but one of my squares complete. I've talked about the other ones already. I have 3 more to tell you about today. For crafting, I created using inspiration from one of the 48 World Cup countries. My Gentle Drizzle socks were the color of the Ukrainian, I think it was the Ukrainian, I don't have it here on my list, uniforms. They were the color of one of the team's uniforms. So that's what I used for that one. And read an award winner. I read You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose, and it won the Killer Nashville Silver Falcon Award. So I don't know what that is, something in Nashville. The book was so good. Like it leads you in one direction, and then at the end it's like, oh no, that's not the direction that it was going. And it was a completely unexpected ending. So I highly recommend reading the You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. And for cooking, my last cooking square was make a spritz or summer refresher. I was really struggling with this one because I just didn't know what to do. So to make my pineapple honey loaf, I bought some little cans of pineapple juice, and I only needed 1 cup of pineapple juice. Each can is 6 ounces. So I've used, you know, one whole can, 2 ounces from another can. And then I was like, what do I do with the rest of this pineapple juice? I mixed the pineapple juice with club soda and some lemon and a little bit of simple syrup, and it was so delicious. It was a summer spritz. So that was my summer spritz. Now I just have one more square that I have to have, and it is a reading square, and I'm actually almost halfway through the book right now, listening to it on audio from my library. So that's it for knit-alongs. Let's move on to more out than in. For the month of July, I brought in 427 yards. That was from my Handspun from Dakota carding. And I sent out 1,816 yards. And that was in my Gentle Drizzle socks, my Advent hat, my retreat socks, my lounge shorts. And when I finished off those lounge shorts, I went ahead, because I had only a little bit of a ball of the kobasi left, the cotton, bamboo, and silk. And it doesn't mix well with wools. So I know I'm going to use you know, the fingering version in that strawberry field socks, but like I wouldn't want to use it in a hat, I don't think, mixed with wool. So I wanted to go ahead and use it up. And I keep seeing these little hexy cardigans that you can make for the little bears that I make. So I made a hexagon, granny hexagon, or started one with that after I finished the shorts. And I will finish it off eventually and put it on one of my bears. So that was a nice way to use up all the leftovers from that. So anyway, my year to date, I have brought in 5,249 yards, and I have sent out 9,873 yards. So I am still down for the year, which is my goal. And I find that I'm really buying with intention when I do buy yarn nowadays, which is good. I always have a plan for it, not buying it just because it's pretty and I want to take it home with me. Okay, let's move on to my patterns. I sell patterns on Ravelry as carried from fleece. I do have a new shawl pattern that is all done. It's been tech edited. It's ready to go into testing. I just need to sew in the ends on my sample and get some good pictures before I send it to the tech editors. And I found out, because of where I have it laying and I have pets in my house, there's actually a spot on the white. A little brown spot on the white. So I think I'm going to wash it again before I take pictures. Hopefully the spot disappears. If not, I'm going to have to try to make my pictures not show the spot, which may be problematic depending on what part of the shawl the spot's on. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Not your problem. It's my problem. But I have a big announcement and I'm super excited about it. I hat pattern that I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. I did send it off to the magazine and it was accepted. I'm so excited that it was accepted. Nothing like this has ever happened for me before. Well, this is the first time I've ever sent one to a magazine, but I'm excited and nervous at the same time because they have a specific format that the pattern has to be in. It's going to go to their tech editor, which just seems scary to me. Not that my tech editors don't do a good job, but it just seems scary. But it's so exciting. And like it's just nervous excitement. So I don't know when I'm able to tell you what it is. I assume after the magazine has been released. It's the Winter 2026 Winter 2026 edition of the Cast On magazine. So look for it there. Okay, let's move on to gardening. So last weekend, I think it was Sunday afternoon, it might have been Saturday, we went and pick blackberries, which is great. We like to go out and forage and, you know, find our own food. That's always fun for us. But on the way home from the blackberry picking spot, we were talking about a plant that you can use for itching and stings. My husband had just read about the plantain plant that is a weed that grows in our yard, and that you could use it for, make a salve with it and use it for itches and stings. Well, that same night I was outside watering my plants and I felt a sting on my arm. I got stung by a bee that same night. So my husband went out and got some of this plant out of the yard. He crushed it up or cut it up and got some juices out of it and rubbed it on my arm. And let me tell you, it took the sting away almost immediately. Like the ache of the sting was gone. And the next morning when I got up, my arm wasn't all big and red and swollen. It looked like this the next morning. I didn't put any of that plantain plant on it that next day because I didn't know what it looked like. I would go out and just pick a random weed and it'd be the wrong one because that's me. But and it did end up swelling up, but it was so itchy. And then the day after that, so 2 days later, my husband got some more of it and put on there, and it actually did take the itch away too. So I'm gonna get some beeswax and some shea butter, and I'm gonna infuse this plant. I'm gonna dry some out and infuse it with some oil and make my own bug bite salve because it just worked really good. And it's just an odd coincidence that we happened to be talking about that on our way home, and then not even half an hour later, I got stung by a bee. So, odd coincidence, but that's what happened. And that's all that I have for you today. So, until next time, keep doing what you love. Bye.